For years, whispers of betrayal, icy silences and fractured brotherhood have hung like a storm cloud over the House of Windsor. The once inseparable sons of Diana, who walked together behind her coffin, who shared the unbearable weight of grief as boys, are now divided by oceans, by words written in memoirs, and by wounds that never healed. But in a shocking turn, Prince William has finally allowed Harry's shadow to creep into his own words, and what he said has ignited speculation, fury, and fascination in equal measure. The heir to the throne, usually so guarded, so careful never to name his brother, chose this moment to speak. Not in a formal statement, not in a palace press release, but in a casual yet piercing conversation with Hollywood actor Eugene Levy for Apple TV's The Reluctant Traveler. It was there, against the backdrop of Windsor, the fortress that has housed centuries of monarchs and secrets, that William uttered a line that revealed both pain and resolve. I hope we don't go back to some of the practices in the past that Harry and I had to grow up in, and I'll do everything I can to make sure we don't regress in that situation. It was not said in anger, nor in a fit of temper. It was calm, deliberate, almost chilling in its clarity. For royal watchers, this was the moment William broke his silence on Harry in the most devastating way possible, not by attacking him directly, but by using his own children as the contrast. George, Charlotte and Louis, William insisted, would not suffer what he and Harry suffered. George, especially, the boy destined to be king, would not grow up in the same poisonous atmosphere that pitted brother against brother, that weaponized the press, that destroyed trust inside the palace walls. To some, this was an olive branch. To others, it was a dagger. Because in that single sentence, William seemed to confirm what many had long suspected, that the world Harry described in Spare was real, that their childhood was fractured by forces bigger than them, and that the future king is determined never to repeat it. The timing could not be more explosive. Harry had returned briefly to Britain, meeting his father King Charles, but not his brother. That absence spoke louder than any speech. For months, speculation swirled. Were the brothers speaking in secret? Was a reconciliation possible? Or had the wounds of Netflix, Oprah and Spare dug too deep? Now, William's words have been interpreted as a final line in the sand, a recognition of what was broken, and a vow that it ends with his children. Inside the palace, aides whisper that William has long wrestled with how to acknowledge Harry without reopening old battles. By invoking the past practices, without naming names, he both shielded himself from direct accusation and simultaneously validated Harry's narrative in a way that stunned courtiers. One senior insider reportedly told a royal correspondent, "For William to say this out loud, it shows how deeply the scars still run. He wants to move forward, but he wants the world to know he is protecting his children above all else." The choice of words matters. Practices in the past. Cold, institutional words, but behind them lies Diana's story, the constant intrusion of cameras, the manipulation of headlines, the silent wars of briefings and counter-briefings between royal households. William grew up watching his parents' marriage collapse under the glare of global media, watching his mother cry while Charles's affair with Camilla unfolded in tabloid detail. And now, decades later, his own brother has accused his household of the very same toxic tactics. Happy to lie to protect my brother, igniting one of the ugliest chapters in Windsor history. Harry accused William's team of planting stories, of sacrificing him to protect the heir. He painted his brother as hot-tempered, complicit, and at times cruel. He described a fight so physical it ended with him sprawled on the floor, necklace ripped, his back cut by the shards of a dog bowl. Those words in Spare were read worldwide, each line widening the gulf between the brothers. William, until now, refused to dignify any of it with a response. Silence was his shield. But silence is never neutral, it fuels curiosity, it feeds speculation, it lets wounds fester. And so, his subtle, but pointed comment to Eugene Levy is being read as both a confession and a warning. For William, the burden is heavier than brotherhood. He is not only a son, a sibling, a husband, but also the future king. Every word he utters is weighed against centuries of royal tradition, every gesture analyzed for signs of weakness or defiance. His statement about George not repeating history is not just about family, it is about the monarchy itself. It is William declaring that the next era will not be plagued by the same mistakes, that his reign will be different from his father's and his grandfather's. But the shadow of Harry lingers. When Harry and Meghan fled to California, they did not just leave the royal family, they detonated a cultural bomb. Netflix, Oprah, podcasts, lawsuits, each became a weapon in their war against the firm. Harry accused Charles of coldness, William of aggression, Camilla of manipulation. Meghan accused the palace of cruelty, racism, indifference. In the court of public opinion, the monarchy was dragged into the mud, and its younger generation fractured beyond recognition. For many, the sight of two brothers walking apart at Queen Elizabeth's funeral in 2022 was a heartbreak that symbolized the end of Diana's dream for her sons. Now, William's words carry both hope and finality. By speaking of George, he is focusing on the future, not the past. By referencing practices rather than people, he avoids open war but still acknowledges the poison. Yet, the omission of Harry's name is telling. He is both present and absent, a ghost haunting every syllable. For courtiers, this is strategic. For William personally, it is raw. He knows that every comment will be dissected by his brother across the ocean. He knows Harry will see this as both a recognition and a rebuke. He knows the world will pit their words against each other, line by line, as if their feud were a chess game played in public view. And yet, William cannot stop. He must speak, because silence has allowed others to tell the story for him. This time, in this carefully chosen setting, not a press conference, not an interview with a political journalist, but a warm conversation with a beloved actor, he found the space to let slip the truth. He is determined to shield his children from the toxic game that consumed him and his brother. The implications are profound. For George, Charlotte and Louis, their upbringing will be defined by this vow. For Harry, it is a reminder that his revelations, however painful, have shaped his brother's determination. For Charles, it is a warning that the future king will not follow the same palace playbook. And for the monarchy, it is a signal that change is inevitable, that the next reign will look different, sound different, feel different. William's final words to Levi sealed the moment. I think it's safe to say that change is on my agenda. Change for good. And I embrace that and I enjoy that change. I don't fear it. Not radical change, he insisted, but necessary change. The words of a man who has lived through trauma, who has seen the monarchy at its most dysfunctional, and who is determined to reforge it in his own image. The silence has broken. The message is clear. George will not grow up the same. The cycle ends here. But the cost of that promise, the brotherhood lost, the scars reopened, may haunt William forever.